Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today, I have a 3v3 ladder match here on the most amazing Roxas map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the north, also known as the blue team, ending with Team 2 in the south, also known as the red team. Starting off with Team 1's southern player, working our way northward, we have an amethyst purple Tao Va. He is a Cybran, and he is a 1373 rating. To his northwest, we have the highest rated player on Team 1 and in the game overall. It is a Zeros at a 1967 rating. He is in Stitch Blue as a UEF. And last but not least, for Team 1 in Royal Blue to his east, we have Gib. He is a Seraphim. He is almost a 1600 at 1597 rating, and again, he is in Royal Blue. So for Team 1 side of the map, they are missing the Aeon faction, which means they have one Cybran, one Seraphim, and one UEF for Team 1 or the blue team. In the south here for Team Red or Team 2, we have in Ruby Red the UEF player of RNA. He is a 1882 rated player. He is the highest rated player on Team 2. And again, he is a UEF. To his northwest in Orange to Color Orange, we have all white people. Probably going to be calling him all or white or people or any combination of those words. He is almost a 1500 at 1497 rating. And almost at a 1600 rating, 1 point shy, at least of this match, of a 1600 rating is Lux Porig. He is a Seraphim and Chevy Crimson. And again, he is in Chevy Crimson as a Seraphim. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have 2 UEF and 1 Seraphim. So not only do they lack Aeon technology, they also lack Cybran technology, which means for this entire match, this 3v3 ladder match, there are no Aeons. I do apologize to those loyal to the princess. Hopefully you will enjoy the match nonetheless. And of course, before our players scoop up all of this on the field, let's take a look at how much it is in Reclaim. It's currently sitting at 7,300. It's not like oodles and oodles and oodles of mass that we've seen in some games, but I mean, it's over 1,000 mass per play, which is definitely worth going for. And we see, I don't know why that's not grouping together, but we do see that it's a nice grouping, about 2,000 mass here for Tau and 2,000 mass here for all white people. But it does look like there's a transport outbound for RNA trying to aggressively deny some mass for his opponents. And speaking of which, let's take a look at the mass point locations for Team 1 side of the map, the blue team. There's a Trimex position that Tao has already grabbed, another Trimex position west of him. That looks like it's going to Azuros. In the east, there's a Trimex position that Gib is walking towards, and another Trimex position on this coastline over here. And there's a decent amount of water on both sides of the, let's say 2 middle lanes, which means we'll see Navy. We'll see how much that does impact the game. I'd say the main bases for both of these teams are pretty far back from the shoreline. I'd say definitely Lox Puig and Team 1's Gib are probably the most vulnerable to maybe just cruiser missile fire. And then it would go to all white people and Tao's position. So we'll see how Navy does play into the game. But of course, sometimes Navy is a big deal for some players, and some players just ignore it. They just don't care about it. They just focus on something else. We'll see how this game goes on. Team 1's Tau has started to reclaim the rest of the, reclaim field. The engineers were able to land and build a radar while I was doing my little intro there, and it was destroyed in that time in which I was, talking about it, and the drop did happen. Lox Puig and Team 1's Gib starting to build up their front line land facilities, at least Lox Puig is, to start pumping out units closer to said front line. And it does look like Team 2's RNA is going to hang back here. Looks like he's just going to be the air player here for his team. Team 1's player of Azuros, his mirror, is actually doing the exact same thing and staying in his main base. So it's going to be a 1v1 in the east and 1v1 in the south. And both of the players on Team 1 have gone for gun. Now this upgrade here for Gib has been stopped, or at least paused at a minimum. I shouldn't say stopped because technically it can still go. It just is on hold. We do see that the gun upgrade for Tau is actually going very quickly. Of course, he is a Cybran, so he gets the Mantis assisting capability on board those units. Very effective at the early upgrading of units, not units, but him specifically. And we do see that Team 2's all-white people just kind of hanging out. This is going to be a one-sided endeavor unless all-white people can get a gun upgrade online. But at this stage, by the time this upgrade finishes, if he were to start one now, that upgrade's going to come bearing down on him. We do see a couple of units splitting off over here, maybe trying to distract Tau and split his focus on the western edge of this western side and the eastern edge of the west. That's not going to get confusing at any point, either for me or some people watching. I know I kind of do that once in a while when it's a bigger lane or kind of section of the map. But it's pretty much one avenue of attack. There's just two ways to go about it. We do see that comm for Tau is moving in, and in the east, the upgrade has been played, or unpaused, I should say, going for Gib. And we do see left drone coming on the way for Azuro, so we'll probably go for right drone here pretty shortly because it's left then right, and that's the only way I can remember it. Sometimes I think it's right and then left, but I guess it does make sense if it's left and right. Anyway, most people read from left to right, so it would make sense that way. Anyway, we do see that the gun did finish it for Gib, and Tau is pressing forward against all white people. His forces are retreating, and additional forces outbound from Tau pushing in against this little group of forces for all white people. We do see that the convo of RNA is moving into the west, though, and he's actually gone for Navy. So the rearguard air slot players for Team 1 and Team 2 have decided to dip their toes in the southern Navy. And it does look Team 2 does have the entire northeastern section of the map, that water, under his control, not allowing any sort of facilities to be built. Which one is trying to be built, but it's slowly being denied by that little Sao-Issel outbound from Lox. And we do see again Tau continuing to press the advantage. He's taking a little bit of a more centralized or frontline approach. He wants to get the veterancy on board, which he already has one, to be fair. He wants to get even more veterancy, more hit points, more regen equals more survivability. We do see that RNA is continuing to move westward. He has to deal with a nice little Thunderhead class frigate in his build power area, but he'll deal with that here shortly. Those units outbound from Tau get pushed back, and we do see that Tau is actually pulling all of his forces southward, and this he leaves a huge opening for Team 2's all white people to engage. He has a couple of pillars online, so more firepower at his disposal, and RNA is slowly being surrounded. We see a lot of the focus from the units are on him. There's a couple of artillery, but there's not that many Mantis. There's a lot of AA nearby, so he's going to lose some interceptors, but he'll definitely take the trade of interceptors for his own life, and he's being just really slammed here. But of course the AA on board the the Sky Slammers don't do a lot of damage to ground units. It's some damage, but it's not that much. He does drop into the yellows. We do see that Tau is again being forced back, and I love this little hook maneuver outbound from all white people. The units came all the way around and forced Tau to just be body blocked here. A decent amount of T1 units trying to surround that comm, and we do see that T2 is moving into range shortly, and the comm of all white people is nearby getting some shots into the body of Tau. Tau gets to 2-star veterancy, so he gets back over 50%, but now those pillars are in range. One of them gets immediately eviscerated by some overcharging, not overclocking. But Tau is dropping into the red, sub 1,000 hit points. He's not making out of there. This will be the first casualty of the game. One more shot will do it. There he goes. Team 1 loses the first player of the game, sub 10 minutes. And that is their frontline player of Tau. We do see that units still getting into the main base here now for RNA. Not really a lot of damage, of course, because they're mainly just T1 units fighting some T2 mexes, which they, of course, can do damage to. And a little bit of a, stoppage of damage due to the fact, of course, units were transferred over. T2 mexes are going offline, though, so RNA's efforts to go for air are going to be hampered ever so slightly, giving Team 1's Azuros a little bit more of a head start for his T3 air headquarters upgrade. We do see that some reinforcements from all white people coming to assist. And now Team 2's front line in the east is being attacked by Gib, sending in his comm with a T2 and gun upgrade. Lox only has T2 and is pumping out more of the Utashalas. I'd say it's not, I would honestly say the best PD against T1 units is the Cerberus PD, the tickle cannons as I call them. But these ones, very effective. They barely miss unless, they're moving target. They're moving from target to target. But now that most of those Team 1 forces have been dealt with, from Gib. Team 2's PDO just ripping apart the hit points on Gib's commander. We see him almost dropping into the red, and there he goes. He does drop into the red. He has to be very careful. Sub 1,600 hit points. He could easily be sniped if Team 2 had any sort of ability to do so at the current moment, which they don't. Couple of bricks move in, and RNA actually moving to the front line to assist the Cybran facility under his control now, with his, commander that has the little drones on the one each shoulder. You can see one of them fly away. We do see that T3 air is online. T3 land for the Cybrans, at least for him exactly, are going to be done here right now. And then T2 land is online for Gib. T2 in the east, not a thing so far for Lox. He's going more for his comm being T2 and getting a radar. Love to see that. Very, not very early, but kind of early. T2 land, of course, is online for the color orange player of all white people. And T2 air is now online for RNA. He has a couple of naval facilities. His opponent has now lost this. He's destroyed Team 1's Southern Navy naval facilities, if I can speak correctly. And that means Team 2 has control of both ponds. It's going to be a little bit devastating having that news kind of, not curled, but kind of starting to slowly encroach on Team 1's neck. Couple of pillars trying to breach the front lines, but Azuros is not moving. He's staying stalwart. He falls back a little bit just to take cover behind his rhinos, but now he's getting, of course, T3 units online. Loyalists now making their main stage appearance in the game. Team 1 bombers overhead are going to do a little bit of damage and kill off a mechs, but it's really just annoying. Team 1's Azuros not really going to try to kill him off. Those have to be strat bombers to really make Janus would make a decent dent, but it really have to be T3 strat bombers to make a huge dent in those HP departments. Couple of some hovertech units. These Yenzine moving in from Gib to force back Team 2's primarily T1 fleet, but we do see that T2 Navy is now online for Lox. He has gone for the missile launcher approach, possibly, if we see some cruisers emerge for him. He also has T2 land on the front line, very far forward next to him. T3 air has still not been started here for RNA. He also has T2 Navy, so both of the players who have decided to dip their toes in Navy, both A, have T2 Navy, and B, are UEF and Seraphim, which means they both have cruiser missile launcher capabilities, which can devastate Team 1's side of the map. Team 1, of course, both have a Seraphim and a UEF, but there's no naval facilities built yet, so they don't have any cruisers. They could get their toes in the water. There's not really a lot of forces on the front line for either team. A little bit more for either side. Team 2 is a little bit more than that on this eastern side than RNA, but a couple of Wagners and possibly just maybe a couple of frigates will easily deal with that group of forces from RNA. And the game has kind of slowed down a little bit, which means I'm going to speed it up just a tiny smidgen. Just again, in the ladder matches, it's usually a little bit of a building up, and then it calms down a little bit, and then building up, and it calms down a little bit. In the 6v6 games, it's kind of hard to not have action all the time because you have potentially 6 players on each team active at the same time. But now, these Loyalists pushing in against the T2 forces outbound from white people. You do see that Azuros is again reestablishing himself in that Trimex position. And Team 2, is barely leading the mass game, but I'd say barely. Team 1's Azuros is at over 200 mass, and he has a T3 land and T3 air facility online. He's going to be pumping out forces very, very quickly here. And now we see the Seraphim cruiser missile launcher capability nonsense that we love to see with naval fights start to emerge, targeting all of the mechs, denying eco for Gib. He has T2 land, of course, going for T3 as we speak. He wants all of the mass he can get, of course, because that upgrade is not super costly, but, it's not free. We all love free stuff, but most everything in life isn't free. We do see that now bricks also being augmented in the front lines for Team 1's Azuros. I would love to see him kind of maybe pump out a T3 UEF facility just to get some Perseus and mixing in the Perseus in the mix. But again, he's the first player to have T3 land online, so if he wants to just pump out bricks, I'd say go for it, man. We do see that T3 land is now online for white people. He will most likely be pumping out some Perseus here shortly. Maybe he'll build some Titans first, but I would assume he's going to go for Perseus because now he'll be seeing the bricks emerge, and Loyalists, but mainly bricks emerge for Azuros, who also has shield and gun on board. So he has shield, gun, and T2. That is a pretty tanky UEF commander, sitting at 33,000 hit points comparatively. All white people's only at 1,300 and 500. 13,500 hit points. I think I said 3,300 there, but 33,000. For some reason, my brain always wants to say 3,300 or 2,300 or whatever. But that is 33,000. Loyalists do emerge, of course, and push in, allowing those bricks to move in undeterred. Of course, the Loyalists have an EMP weapon that they fire, as well as a little bit of an EMP weapon on their death. So them running into units is actually pretty effective. Overcharge kills off a pretty much dead Loyalist anyways. And here comes those bricks and Loyalists into range. The bricks focusing on the comm. The Loyalists focusing on the units coming in to save said comm. Will the comm make it into the water? He's falling very, very quickly. He does have nano, but it's only 62 hit points a second. Will he make it underneath the surface of the water? He drops almost below the red, and he does make it out of there. But very, very close. We do see, of course, more cruisers coming online for RNA in the south. And he does have one kind of sitting going after some T2 mexes on Azuros' side of the map. But now we see T2 mexes being taken offline. That's not necessarily 9 mass a second. It was going to be 9 mass, but now it's not. And these, of course, are 9 mass a second as well. So that's 27 mass per second that white people is losing. Are losing. His name is White People, but White People is plural, so it should be R, but he's one player, so it's is. English is confusing. Anyway, we do see some bombers coming in from assistance from Locks, and we do see some ASS building here, just a couple of them for RNA, not too many. We is seeing a couple of bombers to assist as well, but the damage, specifically economically, is just done here on Team 2 side of the map. Of course, some bricks are left remaining in terms of wrecks that Team 2 can grab, but as long as Azuros can keep the middle of the map here, he'll be perfectly fine with what he's grabbed so far, denying mass in terms of per second and denying a couple bits of reclaim, plus, of course, just being very annoying and focusing essentially 2 players' attention on him. He'll definitely be happy about that. T3 land on the front line here for Locks, and he's pumping out those nice little Othams. He, of course, does have only still T2, but he probably will keep it for a while. More cruisers starting to emerge here on the eastern side for him. And all those cruisers going after something. I don't know what they're firing at. Maybe they're trying to fire at that Ilshi that's just constantly in a patrol route, distracting the missiles launching from Locks. And I like this strategy because it doesn't really take a lot of effort to do this. You just take one unit and just kind of have him go in a circle. Of course, eventually the missiles will do some damage. That's a lot of damage that's being essentially negated by just having one unit patrolling for a bit. Frontline naval facility bombarded by torpedoes from those bricks. One taken offline by those bricks. So Team 1's Azuros is like, nope, you're not getting naval facilities on my beach. I don't want that site near them. I want to go and hang out and not have to look at some ugly thing off the coastline. Gib going for more shields and some T2 artillery to protect not only the radar system, but of course his comm. We do see the same thing happening over here for Locks. He's mainly just going for T2 PD. Probably should get some more artillery, but is pumping out Othams as we speak. We are approaching the 20-minute mark here in the game, and Team 1 has lost the only play of the game so far at Tau Va really early in the game, sub 10 minutes. But that did give Azuros dual base, is now sitting on 300 mass a second. And overall, Team 1 at almost 400. But Team 2 is eking out ahead ever so slightly at 430, 440. The numbers keep flip-flopping. And of course, that's even after a couple of mexes were taken offline and now rebuilt by white people. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game at 20 minutes and 24 seconds on the clock. Of course, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. And of course, most ladder matches don't get as much attention as the custom games matches, you know, the 5v5s, the 6v6, the 7v7s, those kind of matches. So if you really do enjoy this type of ladder match that you want me to cover them on a regular basis, please let me know with that like button. Please let me know with the comment section. I really, really do appreciate getting feedback from everybody. And of course, sometimes a little lax about it. I get distracted with work or other things happen. Life happens. But I really do appreciate your patience with me. And I really do appreciate and enjoy reading all of the comments. We do see that a couple of bricks break through the front lines for Team 2's White People and RNA, but they are dealt with. A couple of mexes are taken offline. I mean, I think this one was, no, it wasn't fully ringed, but it was almost fully ringed, and this one wasn't ringed yet, but it was a T2 mech. So I'd say easy 15 or so mass per second gone for Team 2. No man's land building here in the middle of the map. Engineers running around getting some reclaim here. Couple of groupings of a couple hundred, so it's definitely worth going for. Team 2 still in the lead for mass and is now starting to eke a little bit further away from Team 1 at 520 to 460, so it's about 60 or so, and it used to be about 40 or so a minute or so ago. I think I said so like 4 or 5 times in those 2 or 3 sentences. RNA has now gone underneath the surface of the water to go for his RAS upgrade and is at the same time expanding out his air grid. We do see in the north attacks outbound from Lux using the water to cover his units so the PD doesn't target him, and the artillery as well. The radar is offline. The artillery is now pretty much offline. The defenses are down. Team 1 bombers coming in to assist as well. Most of those tanks are gone. They're no longer existing. Would have loved to see this TMD be taken off as well, but at least the main base, or main frontline base for Gib, has now been taken offline by Team 2. So Team 2 will be happy about that, of course, but Team 1's Gabe will not be happy about that, especially because he's been constantly bombarded by missile fire for a while now, but he does have some TMD that he's built up in the interim, and I think he's building some... No, those are with the Shalas. Maybe he meant to build T2 artillery, but at least he has some PD protection at a minimum. It's something. In the west, same very similar story in the western side of the map here for RNA, just bombarding Team 1's Azeros with missile fire. At this point, it's just how long can Team 1 withstand the bombardment from Team 2? And I feel like at this point, Team 1's going to dip their toes in the Navy somehow. The only way that's really viable is to pretty much just go for a bunch of Yenzine or Hovertech units, clear out all of the destroyers and cruisers and all the other units, and then deploy some bombers to deal with the subs. And then after that, get a facility and get at least the T2 to fight back. Because I don't think Team 2 is going to go for T3 Navy as of yet. It's definitely a costly endeavor. And Locke specifically is just going for the nice little sneaky option of going for some Optims underneath the surface of the water and emerging onto land. We do see, again, in the west, still bombardments happening. Azeros has fallen back. No, yeah, Azeros has fallen back to his main base. We do see that Gib is still holding strong, but he has fallen into the yellow. He has to keep moving or he's going to be just annihilated by those missiles. Team 2 can see him, so he needs to either get underneath some stealth field generators or just hide himself or something, get underneath the surface of the water, something, so Team 2 doesn't know where he is. Team 1 does have Omni online, and a Monkey is online here for Azeros. That is the cheapest experimental in the game, of course. We do see is Team 2 building any sort of counter to that. Of course, they'd really build a chicken, and they are currently building a chicken that are being locked, so air fight does commence on Team 2 side of the map. Team 1 does have air control. They have more ASFs than Team 2 does by, I mean, I'd say 20 or so. 28, so almost 30. And that's going to put Team 1 in a better situation to possibly go after that avenue of attack on the eastern side for the Navy, because it is the weaker of the two sides, just given the fact there's so much more support down here for RNA. Couple of broadswords are inbound, couple being 8 inbound. That's almost a squadron of squadron of gunships inbound, and there are T3 mexes not protected by any sort of shields. There's a couple of AA facilities being built, but it's going to take a minute or so to get all of them online, and that's 27 mass a second per T3 mex, and because these are fully ringed, so that is almost 100 mass per second that All White People is losing. And even more stuff's going to be taken offline here for him as well, going after some T2 mexes that were going to be ringed. So that's 6 mass a second. It was going to be 9 mass a second. That's another 9 mass a second. So we are talking about 100 mass per second that Team 2 is losing, specifically White People. But now RNA is going to be losing some mass per second. Couple of ASF inbound, and they get immediately destroyed by Team 1's Azeroses. And looks like some airlocking will occur. The gunships going after the Pigeons, trying to deny the expansionary efforts and just the Pigeons in general. for Team 2's Air Forces. And there goes one PGen. It is reclaimed, though, so the AoE is not activated. Shield is trying to stay online, but it will be taken offline here pretty shortly. It looks like they're going to be moving out of range. There's a lot of AA being built. The gunships looks like they had different targets. I don't know why. Maybe they're going after some E-storages. There's a T2 mech over here. A couple of T2 mechs over here that are going to be taken offline. That means that's another 9 mass per second. So we're probably talking about at least 125. I wouldn't say 150. 150 is a little too much. But at least 125 mass per second that Team 2 has lost. And now we see some more broadswords coming after Locks. And now we even see at the same time Azuros attacking with a monkey lord on the front line, going after the chicken that was being built in this frontline facility, getting revenge for Gibbs facility that died earlier on. And this monkey lord is undeterred. There's a couple of lightning tanks nearby, but that's not really going to help against the monkey lord. Broadsword still going after some more mass extractors, and this is probably about 150 now mass per second that Team 2 has lost. And now we see still some of these original broadswords are alive. Another that's another T3 mech. That's another 27 mass per second. And this is just very devastating here. Great play by Team 1 using a nice little 1-2 puncher from Azuros. Air and then land afterwards. And this mech is going offline. No hopes of it being recuperated. More mechs is being taken offline near the naval facility over here. The naval forces trying to offer some assistance, but of course missiles fire where the target is, not where they're going. So mobile units are very difficult to pin down unless you have just so much missile fire raining down. Did you see that Locks is underneath the surface? Another mech's taken offline. Another mech's going to be taken offline. Don't know why that gunship changed targets. Another ASF inbound for RNA to assist. It looks like Locks has given everything over to RNA to assist his eco. I don't know if Locks is going to control K. He might just kind of sit for a little bit. But now here comes the Monkey Lord. And the air and ground forces are meeting in one location. This base is dead and gone. The naval facility, of course, is still online. But it is devastating for Team 2's Eastern Front. There's no front, essentially, at this point. There are some Percy's inbound to assist. But, of course, chasing down a monkey is a bit of a tall order for Percy's, because they do walk pretty slowly. And that's probably 200 or so mass income at a minimum that Team 2 has lost overall. We do see in the West, of course, that Navy force is not, again, going anywhere. And engineers have now landed and starting to either reclaim or build mexes on Team 1's side of the map. But this Monkey Lord is still going to be doing damage. It's almost revved up back to full HP. It's almost like it was newly minted just moments ago. The air grid is the target, I would imagine, here for Team 1. I mean, if Team 1 can gain air dominance, they could, well, dominate the game, unless Team 2 just builds so much AA it counteracts it. But then Team 1 could easily just go for turtle mode and go for artillery or game enders, where the case may be. So it's one of those, you know, if, then, if, else kind of statements. More Percy's coming into range. Mexes were being upgraded, but of course they've been paused. This Mex is going offline. Bricks now coming in to assist from the water. T3 Ravagers have been built to protect RNA's facilities, but that Monkey Lord is going to be focusing on the pigeons. This one is reclaimed the last second. Gib control. Hold on. Let's see. What they're going to try to finish the game with the Soul Ripper, which they are building. We might be able to defend it. TML, go just with that. I'd like to have a buddy, though. I guess you can win it alone. So it looks like something happened with Gibbs' connection or something. He had to go, and it is now a 1v3 in favor of Team 2. But Team 2 is suffering. Azuros will now have 500 mass income per second. I don't know why it said 400 there, or 1400. T3 Ravagers are going to finish the job here. Take out the monkey. One more shot. A couple more shots will do it. One more shot will do it. Will it be enough? The monkey makes it just barely underneath the surface with less than 1,000 HP. The bricks have been dealt with, but all of the pigeons are gone. The T3 air headquarters is fine, though. Barely, but it's fine. We do see some torp bombers being rushed quite quickly to be able to deal with that, and a lot of, looks like build power was control K'd, that they can be repped up or scooped up for other things. But that Monkey Lord, 135 mass hit points per second, killed off 78,000 mass. And to give you an idea, Team 2 is now at 450 mass per second. Team 1 is at 8, or Zeros, I should say, is at 800 by himself, obviously, on triple base. So Team 1, or Zeros, is producing, well, at the time, almost double the mass that the entirety of Team 2 was doing. And Lox is still in the game. He's just gifted all of his stuff over to RNA, who's also dropped below 100 mass. He's, of course, has some power issues, so his mass becomes a little kind of skewed. But that monkey is officially finished off, kills off more mexes, and is finally defeated. But that's just, oh, it's gotta hurt. There's so much stuff that's gone. And Team 1 is in, or I keep defaulting to Team 1, but Azuros is in a great way, a great position to win the game. We do see that he has that bug running around. His Air Forces cleaning up the skies over here, going after the T2 Naval Headquarters. That was owned by Lox, now under the control of RNA. So there's no hope for Team 2's getting their Navy back, at least anytime soon. We do see that the Soul Ripper kind of hanging out next to some AA emplacements. Not the best place to put that thing, but, you know, it's not that much damage. But there goes Team 2's Lox. He control Ks underneath those ASF, does a little bit of damage from what it looked like, not too much though, and it is officially now a 2v1, still in favor of Team 2, but they have a huge hole on the eastern side to plug up. 31 minutes on the clock here. We should start seeing at least some artillery, game enders, that sort of thing start to emerge for Team 1 or Team 2. Team 2 is a little bit behind economically, but they are catching up though. They're about 780, and that's a huge jump from a couple of minutes though. And that's probably mainly just due to power consumption. But now a nuke, speaking of which, has been finished by Team 2's all-white people. So that is the Stone Ninja T3 strategic missile launcher, and that will try to nuke Team 1 back to the Stone Age, hence the name, of course. We do see a second bug is online for Azuros. He has air control, and he has 2 experimental gunships. The only downside, though, is that Team 2's white people has built 51 SAM sites, or AA sites. So that's a lot of air power, or AA defense here for Team 2. There's also just a lot of spamming out of some T1 AA. A couple of Zuri running around cleaning up this eastern edge. And it looks like the bugs are going to try to make a hook maneuver all the way around the defenses here for all white people, avoid him entirely and go after RNA. Of course, RNA has some AA, doesn't have a lot, but has something. He does see the gunships inbound. The bugs are also inbound as well, and here they come. Shields are being built as fast as they can. More mechs is immediately being taken offline as well. Those gunships are not going to last very long underneath the power of that AA emplacement. We do see more AAs being built, of course, all the time. And those bugs are going to rip apart those pigeons. There goes the pigeon. We'll get a reclaim motor off. No, it won't. A couple of AA emplacements go offline. ASFs come in to shield those gunships from any sort of threat from Team 2's air defenses. That was really weird. Air defenses. I don't know why I stretched out the air there, but T2 flag also being built because it's just cheaper and you can build it faster. One gunship has dropped into the low yellows, the other one in the mid yellows, about to drop into the red here pretty shortly. A lot of T1 AA, again, it's something better than nothing. More T3 AA, though, is over here protecting this nuke. The first bug is down. I think Team 1 spots the nuke, though. They definitely know where the nuke is. And that second Soul Ripper is not feeling too well. Of course, Team 2 now has a little bit of reclaim to scoop up, though. More AA just being built all the time. T3 Navy was built by RNA. He has some cruisers back here, but the facility is going to be taken offline. He's building a Neptune of all things. I love to see that naval unit, but it is not going to be finished, unfortunately, for RNA and myself, because I do, of course, love to see it. And all of these naval forces are pulled back to assist. They have to. There's no reason that they, don't need to be pulled back. There's some ASF still sitting in Team 2's territory. The facility is almost gone. It's in the red. A couple more thousand hit points. 100. There it goes. The Neptune will not be finished. And those cruisers are coming into range of that Solar Ripper. It's at 2-star efficiency, killed off 37,000 mass. More mechs are being taken offline. More T3 AA is being built. And of course, this nice little Omni Team 1 would definitely like to probably grab that. But it's just going to be running into some AA at this point, trying to make it possibly back home but I don't think it will make it back home, and I think that is a dead bug. It'll be a little bit closer to Team 2's front lawn, essentially, not in their house sitting on their couch like this one is or this one is. By the way, there's still a monkey wreck over here, and of course the bug wreck just happened, and the bug wreck is right there. So Team 2 has a lot of reclaim to scoop up. They're not that far behind Team 1's Azuros. We do see that, of course, UEF tech, the satellite has emerged, and Nuke is launched. Does he have an SMD loaded? Yes, he does. So he will be protected against Team 2's first nuke. He's building a T3 heavy artillery installation currently. And is Team 2 doing anything of the sort? Team 2 also has their own satellite online as well. So both UEF players have gone for a satellite play. I mean, again, it's always nice to have at least one or two because it's Omni all the time and you have a gun on it, laser specifically. Why not build some? Why not build 30 of them? I mean, it costs a lot, but why not? We do see that again, some of these Zui. Actually, at 5-star, I've actually killed off, decent chunk of mass. Zui fight, that's always very entertaining. Units constantly moving very hard to get a nice little arc on them. Monkey Lord, actually not Monkey Lord, Chicken leading a group of bricks, and that's a lot of bricks for Azuros, and this land engagement is not going anywhere for Team 2. It is dead and gone. T2 coming on the way here for all white people. He's going for T3. Maybe he'll go for Billy Nuke. The satellite has now made its way closer to Team 2 side of the map. That needs to be shielded immediately. Of course, the nuke is being loaded as we speak. Team 1 isn't putting a lot of emphasis on this nuke, but I think it might passively finish before the nuke is being assisted by... it's going to be close, but I think it will finish before Team 2's nuke. Second SMD up here just to protect that side of the map. We do see an Albasaw bomber has been completed. Second one under construction. Duke under construction. I feel like Azuros is just spending mass at this point as fast as he can. He is pretty negative, but of course he's spending it as fast as he's making it, if not trying to just go in debt trying to spend it. I feel like if players could buy mass in this game somehow, everybody would just be in negative infinity in debt. They'd just be forever in debt, and no one would have any sort of money at all because they'd all be spending it on mass as fast as possible. And now, of course, more AA being built. And it's going to make it very difficult for that bomber to get any work done. One bomb would be able to be deployed, and then it'd be dead. So Team 1's Azuros has to be very, very careful and very strategic about where he puts that bomber. Because he's probably going to want to go after the nuke, or he probably wants to go after the air grid once again. Again, the only downside with trying to focus the air grid is Team 1 has air control or dominance at this point. Team 2 doesn't really have much to fight with in terms of actual air forces. What they do have in spades, though, is AA. So any sort of frontal assault, any sort of large engagement is just incur heavy losses for Azuros. So it's either he goes around that, which he's starting to do with a couple of these optims on the eastern side, but we do see more and more and more and more AA being built by RNA. He is not going to let any sort of attack vector happen here from an air perspective. And that is an easy way to counter air. Shields and AA. Very easy way. GG says Locks. I think he's leaving. Another nuke is outbound. And is that SMD finished? No, it's not. That Duke is almost finished too. That's going to hurt. Team 1's going to lose a satellite as well. The bomber moves over here. He has 2 bombers. Is he going to deploy them immediately is the question. That nuke is going to land. That's going to be a big kaboom. That's a big yikes. That artillery is about to finish. Satellite's like, hey, there's a thing here. It's not going to last very long. There it goes. Right on top of the satellite. Boom. Kills off, let's say, 60,000 mass. 79,000 mass, a little bit more than I thought. Here come those bombers. They are inbound, and they are most likely going for that nuke, and they are. A lot of ASF to try to drown out all the shots. Bombs are dropped. First bomber is killed. Second bomber about to be killed. The nuke is in the red. It's going to be gone. There it goes. Trap bombers as well coming in to assist. There goes the second bomber. Team 2's nuke is offline, but of course at what cost? We do see that the entirety of the wreck here from this bomber is gone due to just the damage onto the wreck from all the everything that blew up. And then the second one is over here not deterred, untouched. We do see, of course, a chicken sitting in the water here with a bunch of bricks. Very dangerous for the frontline game. Team 2 doesn't really have a lot of land units. They have a couple of Percys here, a couple being a couple dozen, but not really any land experimentals to speak of. They have a Seraphim player, so they can build chickens, but or they did at least. They may have lost. No, they still have some Seraphim tech here for RNA. He's just pumping out a couple of land facilities over here with some Zooey. And we do see the Optims clearing out the AA emplacements on the eastern side, but again, RNA knows they're there, so he can easily just come in and either repair them, rebuild them, or just build shields around them. We do see that frontal assault is happening for Team 1's Azuros. I want to keep saying RNA for Azuros and Azuros for RNA. Kill Mexes with Novax, says Locks. He is trying to assist beyond the grave. I do love to see that armchair, not necessarily an armchair, but the man in the chair to assist his teammates even if he's not directly in the fight anymore. Because just because you're dead does not mean you can't help out. We do see a Duke has been started and then immediately reclaimed. I don't know what's going on with that. Second satellite coming online here for white people. Actually, third satellite, excuse me. And that chicken is busting down the front door for Team 2. We do see PD being hastily built as fast as possible. Of course, the Percy's actually shifting eastward, going after all of the bricks. You see just so many shots being fired by those bricks, but the AoE on board those chickens, of course, are devastating to large groups of anything, regardless if it's T1, T2, T3, or even T4. We do see, of course, the chicken is going to just allow this door to be wide open here for Team 1 to continue to push in units. And we see a large frontal assault of some Yenzin on this eastern side. The eastern side is going to get bombarded, and there's nothing that Team 2 has to protect this. They have a couple of gunships and a Awasau Rector that just reclaimed, and 3 satellites. They really need to call these satellites home and to make them defense satellites. We do see the broadswords are going after the chicken. I don't blame them. That is the biggest threat here from Azuros, and that chicken will be taken offline right on their main shield grid where the Omni satellite, the Omni array is. The satellites are in the sky. We do see that the T2 Yenzin are inbound, going after everything in their way. A couple of kennels will definitely be taken offline in this engagement. And no ASF for bombers or anything from Team 1. Very interesting. Looks like he shifted tactics there. Doesn't have any air forces to deploy. Very, very strange considering he had so many earlier on. Of course, the satellites have been called home, and they're doing great work going after all of the bricks. More PD being built by RNA to assist on that side, but there's a lot of Ravagers in the mix. Of course, they are very effective against slow-moving T4 units. T3s, they're decently good. Why Novax disappear? Well, there is one Novax that just got shot out of the sky because its satellite got destroyed, or satellite station got destroyed. But, yeah, what do you mean they disappeared? I don't know what he's talking about. The broadswords did come in and assist. There is a decent amount of damage here from the attack, but luckily here for Team 2, it was mainly just T2 Yenzin, so not a lot of damage, but, they can float, so they can, essentially they can move over a lot of other environments that other units cannot. There are 2 satellites remaining defending. This is a lot of mass in Team 2's house, sitting on their couch, eating their chips, drinking their beer, that sort of thing. Just taking up space. 294,000 mass on the map. Currently on the screen, I'm trying to zoom in as far as I can. 250,000 on Team 2's side of the map. That is game ender mass. That is more than enough mass I think you would need, if I remember correctly, to build any game ender in the game, and probably a little bit of, I forget the exact mass cost for all of them. I think they're the same, but I could be mistaken. I can just check for the Mavor really quickly as I'm distracted by it. 224,000 for the Mavor, so more than enough to build the overcompensating T4 artillery of the UEF. We do see that a chicken being bombarded by missile fire. That's never good, because that's just thousands of hit points that it's losing per second, and not going to get back easily. We do see a lot of AA being built for Azuros. Looks like he's going to turtle up here. He's building more of an air grid. I don't know what he's building on top of it, though. He was building artillery, then he stopped, of course, because it got destroyed. artillery over here to the north for Zeros. There is an SMD as well protecting it. It has 2 missiles loaded. Of course, Team 2 doesn't have a nuke anymore, but they do have their own artillery being built by RNA, getting his first artillery about half done. It was weird because we saw him building one, and then he reclaimed it, and then he just built it or started building it again. So I don't know if that was like a misclick or something. No idea. But of course, the third satellite was not built, and the second one's about to be taken offline if the shields aren't either assisted or expanded upon. Lots of Ayashava T2 mobile flak cannons moving into the east, assisting these Othams. And are there any Yenzine in the mix? No, it looks like it's just Othams. There are still some subs alive here for RNA going after this T2 naval headquarters built here by Azeros, but it looks like he's going for cruisers. I can never tell the difference in this like hologram for the Seraphim T2 units. We do see that a couple of T1 torp bombers going to be built, and there is some torp defense on board those subs, but not a lot. Do you see that a naval facility was started, but has been abandoned by Team 2 or Team 1? Somebody. Good thing they are targeting me, says All White People. He has like 20 ASF. Give red mass for Artie. You have enough broadsword or broadwords. They are broadwords. They are not broadswords. They are broadwords. That's what, or broadwords. Yeah, I had to make sure I actually read it right because I could have just read it wrong. Or Broad's word. It could be Broad's words. And that satellite is being repaired by some kennels. And come, scoop the mass, send Artie to their... Send Novax to their Artie and focus their Artie with Artie. So again, Locke's doing his best to assist the best he can. And this is a lot of AA. I know it's coming to counteract the gunships built by Team 2's RNA, but from Azeros, but... I mean, that's a lot of AA, and there's not a lot of direct fire weaponry on board those units. Actually, there's none. From what I remember, yeah, just AA and transportable and hover. Couple of some Optimus moving in on this eastern side, going after a dual ring T3 mechs, and there it goes. There go those mass fabs. And a couple of engineers building some PD to protect them, but they're not going to last very much longer. But the gunships are inbound, and the gunships are not gonna let this stand at all. Maybe that T3 mech will be taken out. That T3 mech is taken out, but again, at what cost? Balling, but at what cost? Essentially, every Optim is about 500 mass in terms of its reclaim value, roughly, and that reclaim value of that T3 mech is almost 3K. So. Essentially 6 or so Optims per T3 mechs, and then if that's fully ringed, I'd say about 30, maybe 4,000 mass roughly. There's definitely somebody that's done the like exact math of like if this was none of the reclaim was damaged, what would be the total mass from a dual ringed T3 mechs. And again, artillery just trading blows. A nuke has been built, not loaded, but built by Azeros. He has a nuke and an artillery, and he's building satellites. And more satellites because he loves those satellites. I like them too. They're not my favorite thing that the UEF offers. My favorite thing is the Mavor, to be fair. But the satellites are very good for vision / intel, and then just good for just taking out mexes. Those are like the 3 things that the satellites are very good for. And just annoying your opponent. So 4 things. Lots of Ravager batteries and some Triad batteries being built here. Some of the Optims are targetable, some of them are not, just because of their profile underneath the surface of the water. They also have torpedoes on board, but there are a couple of cruisers over here. I don't think the cruisers can come through here, though. I think it's too high of a sandbar underneath the surface to really engage, but they can sit right there and do not really a lot of damage at this point. Locke's trying to, again, constantly assist his teammates. Yeah, Red is kind of right. He just does not have enough. He can't shoot that many down. Who cares? Oh, he's probably talking about the gunships, possibly. Where did the gunships go, speaking of which? Did they just get hidden? Oh, no, they're over here hiding with all the other red things. Hunting the orange. Where are factories? You are brain dead. I mean, they're like right here, but they're all T1s. All of his T3 facilities got taken out, except for his land facility, or his headquarters. We do see that the Othams, still moving in around this little water, pond area. But of course, the AA, all of the flak cannons, are being destroyed by the Ravagers because the flak cannons don't hide underneath the surface. They are hover tech units, so they can be targeted. And I feel like at this point, the game is kind of just not stalled, but there's not really a lot happening one way or the other. The counter game's in this really weird, like, calm before the storm. There's 2 satellites inbound, though, so that will start motivating Team 2 to go for more shields. Of course, the artillery has been built. Second one has been built, of course. It's halfway done. Team 1, of course, has a nuke, and it's halfway loaded. Looks like the Hovertham was taken offline by those artillery and satellite combination, but of course it's already half rebuilt. We do see another satellite being built here by Zeros. Some spy planes inbound. They'll see that. Looks like the satellites are... Oh, there's satellites. We're going after those. We do see that the Othams are approaching again by Zeros, but I don't think they'll get as much work done as they did the first time. There's so many shields and so many PD emplacements, and of course the gunships are right there. So that's another thing. And here they come, and they're just going to mow everything down. Flak's not enough. There's not that much flak anymore because of all the damage that they took earlier on. A couple of the shields will be taken offline, but of course there's no artillery, so the shields being taken offline is nice. I mean, it's it's a little bit better for these defense satellites to target things, but you're not going to have that impactful shot from the artillery because the artillery is dead. It's being rebuilt, but it's currently dead. It's currently offline. We do see, of course, that nuke is about to be loaded, and the artillery focused on this western side where all of the Novaxes are. Looks like the SMDs are the target, which begs the question, does Team 2 have a nuke? And they do not, but you might as well target the SMDs because that's a valuable thing to go after. T3 units over here, the naval units. Looks like these two are sandwiched together. Very interesting shape there. There's a aircraft carrier right behind that Hathum. They look like they're one unit because they're moving in unison. Look at this. Oh, no, okay. Now you can tell they're not one unit anymore. But anyway, it looked like they were one unit. Lots of battleships, lots of aircraft carriers over here. I mean, it's a lot of AA, but I feel like that's mass that could easily just be going to this artillery to finish it even sooner. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have all that AA and build ASF and stuff from those aircraft carriers, and of course load nukes if you want to from the battleships, but I just don't think it's that impactful for the game at this point. It'd be the same thing over here for Zeros going for T3 battleships over here. It's just, what's the point? They really can't fire at anything in range. Team 2 sitting at 760 mass per second. Team 1's Zeros, the last remaining player on Team 1, at 935. One satellite is almost offline. This one is almost done as well, so Team 1's Zeros will have 3 satellites online here shortly. Our BS loading nukes. What? Dead SMD right there. There's also an SMD over here. This nuke is about to load, and that SMD is about to reload again. And that artillery is now back online. So Zeros has 1 online. Team 2's RNA has 2 online. Satellites from Zeros are focusing that target. Of course, it's always nice to get your dukage. You've played, there's a card game called Coup. There's kind of a slang term where if you have or fake that you have the Duke card, you can take 3 coins. Obviously, if you played the game, you know what I'm talking about, and those who haven't. It's a really good social deduction game. Lots of lying, lots of trying to trick your friends or enemies or frenemies about what cards you have or what cards you don't have, that sort of thing. It's very fun game to play. Definitely not something you can really play with. I mean, you can play it with 2 players. It's not as fun unless you have, like, I'd say 4 at a minimum, and then up from there it just gets very chaotic very quickly. Again, still artillery trying to break through the shielding. Some Seraphim shields actually being added to the mix as well for Zeros to help assist with defenses. This one's about to lose all of its capacity, but all these engineers hastily trying to just keep them online. This satellite center takes a shot, and it's exposed to fire. Another satellite, of course, sailing overhead for Zeros, still targeting this dual artillery emplacement. Of course, we see this artillery is back online. Of course, this nuke is loaded, ready to fire, and I'm assuming he's going to fire it once the SMDs are offline. There's one right here, and there's another one right there that's not loaded, but it's there, so it's a backup, so it's better than nothing. T3 air has now been built by all white people, and he's actually producing some strat bombers. Spy planes are inbound. Lots of ASFs stockpiling here. Looks like there's going to be one last attempt, most likely. Large group of T3 units being built over here as well. And those shields, I mean, they're trying to hold, but it's on, offline, offline, online, offline, online constantly. And it's really hard for Team 1's and 0's to really keep them mostly online. If Team 2 gets a third artillery emplacement, that might just be enough to crack the shielding entirely. And it's just getting a little dicey here for both of these artillery emplacements. One over here, of course, and the satellites over there. We do see that the Autumns are pushing in on the land side of things, but there's so much build power that's built. PD, either it being T1, T2, or even T3, and it's going nowhere. Flak, please, says all white people, talking about some bombers being thrown at this. We see the T1 bombers being spammed up. The shield's still trying to be taken offline. More shielding being built all the time by Zeros. Bomber about to be built probably right after the chicken gets built. Nuke still loaded and is half loaded to his second nuke. And we do see that battleships are being built, but again, I don't see the point. There's no point in building them. You might as well do this, which is exactly what Azuros is doing. Cut down some travel time and build them on your opponent's doorstep. The artillery is still holding strong. Obviously the shields as well. The ASF are just on the doorstep. They're like, hey, neighbor, how's it going? They're like at the fence, waiting to get the all clear to just bash down the door, to walk in through the front door and bash that down. But it's just, will they, won't they, essentially. The land engagement isn't going to go anywhere. I feel like even if Azuros had 1 or 2 chickens, it wouldn't be enough. I feel like if they had 4 chickens on one front, it might be enough to pierce this just insane battery of Ravagers. We can see there's 17 over here, and then for all white people there are 9, so I guess there's not as many as I thought. But he also has a decent amount of T1 PD, and I thought I saw some T2. There's more T2 PD over here for RNA. There's another battery of like 22, so he has so many PD emplacements just waiting to engage. And more T1 PD being built, more shields being built. It's just becoming more and more tanky and more difficult for Team 1 to break through. And it does look like a chicken has broken through the front lines for Team 2's RNA. He just sent it on this western side all the way in. And some Percy support as well. All the satellites are gone. Some of the shielding came offline, of course, due to that. And the satellite's just picking apart the air grid now. Apologies for missing it while I was talking about all the attacks on the eastern side. But this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back and forces Azuros' hand. I know we saw a chicken being built, and there's another chicken about to be built as well. He's going to send it in, but I don't know if it's going to break through to the artillery. Team 1's Azuros still has an artillery, but the shields are offline. Oh, and there goes the nuke and the artillery. The nuke didn't fire its nuke. Oh, and there goes part of the rest of the air grid. The T3 air headquarters is fine, but it's the power. It's the power consumption. He's still, really struggling to keep it online. It's positive and negative, positive and negative. And Percy's still moving in, go after more and more of those T3 P-gens. That might just be game here for Team 2. The chicken falling back a little bit. Strap bombers are inbound, going for said chicken. They do launch some of their bombs, deal a decent amount of damage to that chicken, drop it into the yellow. Second chicken is online. It may just be build all the chickens and then send it in. At this point, I mean, Azuros has lost all of his satellites, his artillery, and his nuke. So long-range attack power is gone. Team 2 has 2 artilleries. So, a couple satellites. So they have all of the long-range power. Of course, we do have all of these units not doing anything, but just kind of sitting there looking pretty. Chicken has now started to move forward, and there's a second chicken coming in to reassure its brother. This chicken is about to get into the green here pretty shortly. Those BS were not loading. Oh, that's sad. So it looks like RNA maybe tried to load them, but they just weren't loading. It's definitely unfortunate, but we do see, again, the Ravagers coming into range, or the chicken coming into range of the Ravagers, I should say. These Ravagers don't move, and all of the hit points being deleted off of that T4 experimental unit of the Yothotha. Where are the broadswords? I don't see them. Looks like they were taken out earlier on, possibly. T1 bombers now moving in. ASF moving in to try to protect them. Strat bombers also being called forth by all white people. Oh, there's some broadswords. They're moving in. They were hiding from my sight. And all of the Ravagers targeting that one chicken. So, again, forget you in particular, specifically that chicken. Of course, the ASF fight happens around those broadswords. The chicken is dead. The broadswords are fine. The Othams got through the shielding, but that might be it. I hear an explosion, and that is Azuris' commander. He control K's in at 58 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock. Team 2 wins the game, and I mean, both of these players, of course, all white people and RNA, did a very, very good job. Feel like the most impactful player, the MVP of the game, was RNA. Of course, the straw that broke the camel's back, or at least in this case, the chicken that broke the camel's back, was on this western side. It prompted the land attack. He's like, okay, I got to send something in. But I feel like the constant engagements on this eastern side, more and more defenses, more and more defenses, more and more defenses, all it did was make the problem worse. And again, I feel like if Zeros maybe pumped his eco a little bit more into maybe some artillery, obviously a couple more shields, never hurts. I should say never hurts, but it never helps. It does help. It never hurts to have more shielding. But yeah, this group of lasers going offline, not really great. And then, of course, the artillery going offline right after that. It was just a really devastating 1-2 punch. Team 2 didn't really have a lot of SMD coverage, though. They had this one back here and this one over here. So had the shielding broken, or had the lasers or the satellites broken through and gone after the SMDs, maybe it would have been a different game. It would have actually been a different game had both the SMDs been taken offline. But I do think overall RNA deserves the MVP award. Specifically, I think for the countering to the air with the ground for the gunships, getting back into air. I mean, he was devastated earlier on. He came back, did a great job. He secured the western side, got the chicken in, killed off pretty much the entire air grid, and then it was just a collapse at that point. Let me know down in the comments what you felt about the game overall, my pick for MVP, that sort of thing. Please, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching to the end. I know that everybody does, but of course, for those who do, I really appreciate it. And of course, encourage everybody who may not be listening at this point to watch till the end of the video. Share this video with your friends, of course, and your family and your pets. And I will see all of you in the next one.